Hello world. This is a quick video walkthrough for my imageJ macro riLeaf.ijm. So I'm assuming you can download this from GitHub, and then all you need other than that is just imageJ. I'm using 1.52 on Mac OS X Mojave, and I have a picture of a leaf right here, conveniently with a ruler in it. So this is most valuable for workflows where you have just an unreasonably large number of pictures of different leaves from different treatments and whatever. So I only have this one picture here handy, so I'm just going to use this. But you're going to need to put it into a folder, name it whatever you want, keep it wherever you want, and then just for effect, I'm going to duplicate it a couple times to make it seem like I have more samples than I actually do. And I'll call this one like Leaf 2 BCI. I'll call this one Leaf 1 San Lorenzo. Stick with that convention right there. Okay, so imagine you have some samples. And then we're going to go ahead and load up imageJ. You come up here to plugins, macros. You hit up install. You can then find this little file right here, riLeaf.ijm, which stands for imageJ macro. Throw that guy in here. I think I've got this one on my desktop, so we can just throw this guy up here. Cool, it'll say one macro installed. It's the perfect number of macros. You can then go to Mac plugins, macros, and in the bottom right here it should have riLeaf as an option. Click that bad boy. It has this beautiful interface with an unreasonable number of junky little faces on it. And there's a few options here. Basically, when it goes through and tries to detect what's a leaf and what isn't a leaf, sometimes these images have multiple leaves and it's got to determine, what's junk and what's signal. And so if you set a minimum size in square centimeters here, that should help it distinguish between, what you want to actually have in your data set and just like random fuzz around the edges. So you should have a general idea of how big your leaves are, and then you should set that threshold, considerably smaller than that, but don't make it tiny. Circularity, I found that these circularity parameters are very useful if you're trying to pick out, say, like needles, like pine needles, conifer stuff, but for regular ass leaves, it's not going to help you much. I would just leave these at 0 and 1 as the defaults. If you've got some wacky stuff in the edges of your photo, you can set it so that you can manually crop your images as you work through them. However, that slows you down like really significantly, so I don't recommend this. I recommend controlling for this in the photo taking stage. As part of my undergrad thesis, I had to do an unreasonably large amount of cropping on something like 5,000 photos of Arabidopsis, and it was a horrible decision, and I should have planned my photos better. So yeah, don't bother with that if you don't have to. And then also, I'm assuming that your images have some sort of like scale to them. And ideally, each of these images, assuming that they're not all copies of each other like I have here, they should be set to the same pixel to centimeter scale. That is, like if you're taking photos of them, maybe fix the camera in one place. If you're just holding the camera with your hands, you might end up with a different pixel to centimeter ratio in every picture, which would also significantly slow down your workflow. riLeaf is equipped to handle this because you can uncheck this option and it'll ask you to set a pixel to centimeter scale for each photo. However, if you just have the same one for every picture, you can keep this guy clicked. It will take the scale from the first photo and use it for all of them, which will make it fast and nice. So I'm going to go ahead and set my blob size to like 0.5, minimum blob size. And then we're going to just close this for straightforwardness and click OK. Kablam. So you gotta blah, 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 blah. You gotta navigate to where your folder is. You just have to click the whole folder, not the photos, just the folder. That's it. And open. So it's gonna ask you, please check the scale. Conveniently, you have this ruler in your photo. You should have planned that beforehand. You've also got this handy dandy little thingy right here that tells you exactly how many pixels your cursor has moved. So you can say, like, for example, between 1 centimeter mark and 2 centimeter mark, looks like we got a width of 43. And, here it looks like we got a width of 42, so I'm fine with that. Check scale, okay. 42, sure. I've noticed also for some reason I get this error, or not really error, but just this stupid behavior a lot of times where it won't let me type in a number here, but I found that if I just click out of the program, like over here, and then back into it, it always lets me enter the numbers. So if you get that issue, just click out, click back in, it'll be fixed. Okay, here we go. Here's the threshold. This is really stupid, but this is how the program had to work. So the auto thresholder I found is very unreliable. See how it included the ruler as a leaf? That's dumb. It shouldn't have done that. So I found that if you just play with these sliders right here manually on the first image, and then just apply them to the whole set of images, it gets a much better result. It gives a much better result. Thank you. I know English. So let's maybe pull up the saturation a little bit. See that? Now we only have a little bit of this fuzz left over here, but I don't think that'll be too much of an issue since we set 0.5 square centimeters as a minimum size. So now that we've got this die highlighted, we can click OK. And this is the dumb thing I was referring to earlier. imageJ would not let me yank these values out of this window. It just said, nope, we are keeping these to ourselves. So you gotta punch these guys in manually, which is dumb, and I hate it. But that's how it is. You gotta say OK, say yes to the dress, and then kablamo. It just does all that stuff. Wonderful. And so I don't know why that's still open. That's weird. But if you go into your data here, there's two. This is actually the same folder you put into it. It's been modified. If you were cropping your images, they would live here. However, the cropped images, we didn't crop any images, so that folder's empty. The original photos are now moved into this subfolder called Originals. And the data right here, we have output by leaf. Also, we have output by sample. So sample output is basically equivalent to, per picture, what do we have going on here? And of course, each picture is identical because I duplicated the photo. These are not different leaves. And if you go into this leaf output, it has them in order of the sample output. So basically, to make sense of this, you could pull up both of these side by side. And for example, since you know that leaf 1 BCI has 3 leaves, then the first 3 leaves belong to leaf 1 BCI. And then leaf 1 LZ also has 3 leaves, the next 3 belong there, etc., etc. There's not a clever way for me to make these data sets live together in imageJ, and so I have just elected to have them as like a inseparable duo. It is a little annoying that this is meaningless without this, but it's just the easiest way to get the data out, and it's in a CSV, so it should be easy to work with. That is, well, let me pull this back up. These are all useful and somewhat self-explanatory statistics, but the leaf output area per leaf is useful. But I think mean, also this mean here, as well as min and max, I think refer to either the pixel intensity of that would make more sense than the location on the, XY location on the photo. I believe this is like something to do with the brightness or the color or something. 255 seems like a saturation, hue, or brightness value. So I don't think these are very useful, but area is useful on leaf output, and then everything except percent area and mean over here is pretty self-explanatory. So even though this didn't save us a ton of time because we only had 3 or 4 fake pictures, imagine if you had, thousands. Then all of a sudden, your life just got way better. So have fun using riLeaf. There are probably some unknown errors that I haven't thought of fixing yet. So if you find them, please hit me up. My email address is riley.lef@pnnl.gov. My name is spelled the same way it is on my GitHub. So have a good night, everybody.